is your morning brief for Friday, March 1st. Thank goodness February is over. It's been a fun month from a market perspective, but man, that weather was tough. I am ready for the spring. All right, let's move on here. So Square rebounds by the end of the day after initial negative reaction. They missed estimates and gave some weak guidance, but then investors just swooped in and bought up shares. It was just unreal. I thought my ticker feed was off or something was wrong because I knew it was bad to start, and then it was down 6 or 7%, ended up 2% for the day. So that's pretty astounding. You don't usually see that kind of a move in one day with no additional news in there. But I will say this: Square is that kind of stock that's going to trade pretty crazy. It's going to go. It's going to go down one day quite a bit, and then it's going to go back up another day. And because it's so speculative, it's still very early. There's not a lot of profit yet, but yet the market cap is huge, and people are expecting big things, including myself. I do like it. I've actually played it fairly poorly, I hate to admit, but I try to be as open and as honest as possible on the show. And I do want to own some of this. I want to own a little bit. It's kind of like it's reminding me, there's no guarantee, but it's reminding me of the early days of like a Facebook, a Google, or something like that. It's got the right kind of pedigree, Jack Dorsey. It's got those big ambitions. It's in fintech, payments, and online transactions, and building websites, and it's got a lot to it that really is exciting. But like the valuation is a little nutty, but you never know, they could grow into it. So I would say you might want to buy a little bit and just get in the game. It's like ante. If you're gonna win a poker hand, you got to ante up first, and then play it out later and see if you want to put in more. That's kind of how you got to look at it, I think. Okay. The Gap is breaking up, spinning off Old Navy. Shares are up like 21% on the news after hours, and it was unbelievable. Now, Old Navy's kind of like TJ Maxx or TJ Companies and Ross Stores, so that's an interesting format, and it is doing well apparently. You don't get full disclosure on it, but from when they break it out, Old Navy does pretty well. And then the remaining brands of Gap, Banana Republic, Intermix, and Athleta will be the other part of the company. But there even may be a possibility to spin off Athleta or to sell it off to another retailer. Athleta, I think it's called Athleta. Yeah. That's really the only part that anybody seems to want. Athleta is probably a lot like Lululemon. And it seems to be the only part that's garnering any possible interest. And like Gap and Banana Republic they're kind of old school at this point. What are you gonna do? It's gonna be hard to fix those brands if it's even possible. Okay, moving on. Tesla Model 3 unveiled at a price tag of $35,000. That's awesome. They got it out finally. And they said they're going to move to online sales only. It was a little unclear to me if that meant for just this model or for the whole company. It seems to me it would be just for this model, but I just really couldn't get clarity on that because they've kind of already built out a network, a dealership network. So I don't know why they would just suddenly change that. But I'll look into more details on that. But as of right now, I'm not 100% sure. But I am excited about a $35,000 Tesla. I think that could just be huge for the company. I think lots of people would want to buy that, absolutely. That's an interesting move. Okay, Foot Locker's up 12% in pre-market after reporting earnings per share. Earnings were up 37%, which is astounding in itself. But same-store sales were up 9.7%. I mean, if you've been following me, and I'm talking about same-store sales, I think Tim Hortons came in at 1%. Some of them come in at 3%. I'm like, oh, that's pretty good. Someone came in at 5% the other day. Oh, that's pretty good. 9.7%. I mean, you just don't hear that. That's just awesome. Okay, Trump believes Kim Jong-un was unaware of a tortured American. Okay, this is just unbelievable. So there was an American that went over to North Korea at one point. I think he stole some signs or took down some propaganda signs, and they ended up taking him in captivity and torturing him for like 2 years or something. They finally released him back to the U.S., put him on a plane, and the guy couldn't see. He wouldn't respond to anything. He was just like an absolute, like, complete mess. And he ended up dying like 10 days later in the U.S. And I guess it came up, and Kim Jong-un said, oh, he didn't know anything about it until afterwards, which is such a total lie, and Trump believed him. It's just, I mean, how many times do we have to watch, what happened to America first? This was an American citizen that was tortured and killed by a foreign dictator, and we believe the dictator, well, not we, but Trump believes the dictator over his own intelligence agency. And he did that with the Khashoggi in Saudi Arabia. Khashoggi, the news reporter, the Saudi Arabian prince. I had no idea. That is also BS. He absolutely knows. There's no way in these regimes that the leader doesn't know about these things. They're commanded by the leader, no doubt. And he believes Putin all over American intelligence agencies, and I thought we were America first. I mean, this is scary. That is just scary stuff. Anyhow, we're not a political show, but sometimes this stuff just comes up and get a little emotional. So anyhow, Square went up, Gap is breaking up, Tesla's got the Model 3, Foot Locker is up. Oh, futures are up nicely. So it looks like we're going to start off March on a great note. Happy trading, everyone. We'll see you next week.